So every single month on this channel, I tell you about all of the new titles Netflix is adding, and May has shaped up to be one hell of a month for Netflix. This list includes a handful of brand spanking new Netflix originals, including a Jennifer Lopez action movie, a Arnold Schwarzenegger action series, which is actually his first series ever. This video is sponsored by AG1 by Athletic Greens. I'll be talking more about them later in the video, but right now let's start with everything they're adding on May 1st, beginning with American Graffiti. To me, this is kind of the predecessor to Dazed and Confused, and it's obviously very different from every other George Lucas movie. This takes place in 1962, and if you have any affinity for classic cars, this is going to be the movie of the month for you. They're also going to be adding Ridley Scott's American Gangster, which is this great epic gangster movie starring Denzel Washington, but you also get a fantastic cop drama starring Russell Crowe, and they're both threaded together really well in this movie. They're also going to be adding Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down, one of my favorite modern warfare movies ever made. Definitely a top pick for me this month, as well as Captain Phillips, which is coming to Netflix, and it's not the only big Tom Hanks project coming this month.
Look at me.
Sure.
Look at me.
Sure.
I'm the captain now.
For some more drama, they're also adding Flight, which also stars Denzel Washington, which is an incredible movie. The marketing for this movie was a little wonky. It was hard to tell what it was about, which was done on purpose, but this goes into some really deep directions that I was not expecting, making it a solid movie, even if they didn't really want you to know what it's truly about. And the classic Steel Magnolias also gets added this month, really rounding out that drama category with some total bangers. If action is a little more your speed, they're adding a ton of stuff, including several Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, because there is another big Schwarzenegger project getting added later in the month. But the Schwarzenegger projects include Conan the Barbarian. They had Conan the Destroyer last month, which is not nearly as good as the original. So I'm excited they're adding the original first Conan the Barbarian movie, as well as Kindergarten Cop.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
And Last Action Hero, one of my all-time favorite Arnold movies. But that's not it for action. They're also going to be adding Cliffhanger, Leon the Professional, Starship Troopers, as well as Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which I would rank higher than Army of the Dead, which is also on Netflix, and John Carpenter's Vampires, which I think is a highly underrated vampire movie. They're also adding The Dilemma with Vince Vaughn and Kevin James. This movie is actually directed by Ron Howard. In this movie, Vince Vaughn realizes that his best friend's wife is cheating on him, and the dilemma is trying to figure out whether to tell him and destroy their marriage or keep it a secret and maintain the status quo. Also in the comedy category, they're going to be adding The Cable Guy, the Jim Carrey classic. It has been years since I've seen this one. I may actually be rewatching this one on Netflix this month. This Is the End, one of my favorite sort of ensemble casts in a movie ever. I love all the comedy actors in this, particularly Danny McBride's scenes.
Craig doesn't have any pants on. He got f***ing wild, probably danced, sweated all over the place. You got white all over your mouth, Frankie. You probably Jonah over here, probably watching Jay. I didn't even know you were in town. Good to see you.
And then we'll round out the comedy category with the entire Austin Powers trilogy.
Yeah, baby.
Soft and Quiet is a very interesting looking drama that I have yet to see, but it takes place in real time and involves a group of women from the Parent Teacher Association together for a wine mixer, and some sort of dirty laundry gets aired, and it looks like it goes into some pretty dramatic directions, especially for sort of a little one-act type of a setup. They're also adding Pitch Perfect. Musical fans, this is going to be one of the best bets for you this month. And then The Yellowbirds is a movie that stars Jennifer Aniston that I've actually never heard of, despite the fact that it's got some very interesting writers, a director, and looks like a pretty decent movie. This actually features an all-star cast and is based on a best-selling novel and is about two young soldiers fighting their way through the Iraq War. Again, I'm very surprised. I've never heard of this, and like I said, it's got some pretty decent reviews, so definitely one I'll be checking out. They're also going to be adding After Earth, which stars Will Smith and his son, and is really one of M. Night Shyamalan's worst reviewed movies, which is actually saying something. And that's not all they're adding from the Smith family. They're also adding this controversial docu-series that's actually produced by Jada Pinkett Smith that we'll talk about later in the video. And then we'll wrap up everything they're adding on the 1st with a couple of family-friendly movies that I really love, including Chicken Run, which is a fantastic stop-motion animated movie with some really clever humor in it. In fact, this movie has a lot in common with The Great Escape. So if you love classics like The Great Escape, this will be a great one to watch with young kids. And Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, another Jim Carrey classic that is just a real wild watch with the family. Now, they are adding a lot more throughout the month, starting with May 4th, where they add Queen Charlotte, a spin-off of the Bridgerton series. Now, I know Bridgerton is a very popular series. It is not one I have watched, because I spend all my time watching movies. I don't watch a lot of shows, but if you were into Bridgerton, this spin-off is definitely gonna be one of the top picks for you this month. And then one of the bigger theatrical releases coming to Netflix this month is A Man Called Otto, starring Tom Hanks. That gets released on May 6th, and this is actually a remake of a Norwegian film that has bounced around and been available for a long time, but he plays a grumpy old man, and it's Tom Hanks. Obviously, he kills it, but if you missed this one in theaters, it is one of the only new releases coming to Netflix this month. So if you're somewhat new to the channel, welcome, but to answer your question, yes, I watch movies for a living and it's pretty fantastic, but it's also a pretty lazy job and makes me a professional couch potato, so I need to stay active, which is where today's sponsor, AG1 by Athletic Greens, comes in. AG1 is a convenient powder that you mix into an 8-ounce glass of water, and it's absolutely packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens. And believe it or not, it tastes good. It's got kind of a pineapple, almost tropical taste, and tastes much better than any other green drink I've tried. I mean, I'm almost 40 and I am in much better shape now than I was in high school, and I used to run track in high school. What I love about AG1 is I can eat all of the protein I want and need to stay this physically fit, yet I know I'm getting all of the nutrients I need from a leafy green diet from this simple 8-ounce drink. Obviously, just being healthier supports a strong immune system, but all of the ingredients in AG1 will help support that immune system further. Not only that, my viewers were going to get a special gift when you use my link in the video description. You'll actually get a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2, which only further supports that immune system. Right now, they're offering a 90-day money-back guarantee, which means you can order it, try it for 3 months, and if you're not happy, you can get a full refund, which is a killer deal. Again, go to that link in the video description. You'll get all of this stuff. The big bag of AG1, the bottle, the nice metal canister to store it in the fridge, the scoop, all top quality products. And again, they offer that 90-day guarantee, so there's really no risk, no reason not to try this if you're interested. But enough of that recommendation. Let's move on to the rest of the Netflix recommendations on this video. Now on the 9th, they add something I'm personally very excited for, Documentary Now Season 4. Now, this is an IFC original series actually created by Bill Hader and Fred Armisen. And not only are they doing these spoof documentaries, but each episode is based on a famous documentary. So the more familiar you are with classic, famous documentaries, the more funny this will be. But honestly, they're so well put together, and each episode is packed with so many really great comedy actors that you don't even have to have seen the original documentary they're spoofing to laugh all the way through these bits. In fact, I would say if you're a fan of This Is Spinal Tap, then there's just a lot to love with Documentary Now. There's a new Cleopatra documentary that it's produced by Jada Pinkett Smith, and a lot of people are pissed that it seems to suggest that Queen Cleopatra was black. Obviously, she was not. But still, I don't remember anyone getting mad when Joel Edgerton and John Turturro both played pharaohs in a Ridley Scott movie, and Christian Bale played Moses of all people. But that's not the reason I'll be skipping it. I'll be skipping it because I don't feel like watching a series about Queen Cleopatra, much less one created by the most grandiose narcissist I've ever seen.
You know, the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Missing Dead or Alive is the big true crime series they're bringing to the platform this month. They do a new one almost every single month, and honestly, Missing Dead or Alive has my attention a lot more than the Cleopatra thing. Moving on to the 12th, they're adding a series from South Korea that looks totally badass. I can't wait to check this one out. Not only is it from South Korea, but most projects from South Korea, at least Netflix originals, are always dubbed fairly well, so this one will be accessible to everybody. It looks like it takes place in this post-apocalyptic future, and there are these black black knights that have to go around and make deliveries, and it looks like it's got some wild action and sci-fi elements, especially for a series. If this were a movie, I would definitely be watching it on day one. Being a series, I'm gonna have to kind of wait till I have time to consume it all quickly, but it does look like one of the bangers coming to Netflix this month. And then one of the new release movies they're most proud of is Mother, starring Jennifer Lopez. Now, that can be a little deceiving because odds are they're proud of it because it stars Jennifer Lopez, not necessarily because it's a good movie, but it does look pretty cool. She plays an assassin, feels a little bit like well-worn territory, but Jennifer Lopez doesn't do that many movies, and she seems to be pretty selective, typically making pretty decent choices, so another one I'll be checking out. And then there's a new animated series that's definitely riding that Rick and Morty wave. It's titled Mulligan, and it is from the writers of 30 Rock, so there's a little promise there, but based on the trailer, almost every single joke seems to be white men suck, and I've heard all those jokes before. They kind of cease to be funny at a point.
Oh my God, you're the worst!
I saved Earth, remember? That was like a week ago.
For the kids, they're adding the Ugly Dolls movie. Not a great recommendation, but kind of a cool, interesting, recently released animated movie to watch with the family. And then on the 16th, definitely do not watch this one with the family. Ted, starring Mark Wahlberg. This is one that actually holds up. A lot of the jokes are just really silly and fun, whereas I didn't think the sequel was that good, and Seth MacFarlane's other movies have not really been that good. Ted is pretty exceptional, and again, all of the jokes hold up to multiple watches.
Courtney, Misty, Jenny, Krista, Mindy, Noelle, Shelby, Trina, Reba, Cassandra, Nikki, Kelsey, Shauna, Jolene, Earlene, Claudine, Savannah, Casey, Dolly, Kendra, Kylie, Chloe, Devin, Emma, Lucy.
Nope.
Wait, was it any one of those names with a Lynn after it?
Yes.
Okay. Brady Lynn, Heather Lynn,
Tammy Lynn.
And then if that's not for you, they're also adding an Anna Nicole Smith documentary titled You Don't Know Me, or however you say it, which baffles me a little bit. I feel like we've done all that. It's been a long time since she died. Honestly, she's really not that interesting of a person. I mean, she was a stripper that got a little bit famous and then conned an old billionaire out of all his money. Unless this documentary has something really interesting to add, I'm not sure this is one I'll be watching. If that documentary's not for you, on the 17th, they're adding McGregor Forever, a documentary about Conor McGregor. And even though he seems like a grandiose narcissist who punches old men in bars and throws ladders at buses, his story should still be pretty interesting to watch, so this is one I'll be checking out. On the 19th, they add two very interesting foreign language projects. Hopefully they have dubbed versions, again, that way everyone can enjoy these, but one from France is Asterix and Obelix, the Middle Kingdom. Yes, this is based on the classic newspaper comic strip, and it's French comedy, which can be quite funny. However, I do find with silly, slapsticky type movies like this, if you're having to read a lot of subtitles, it can be hard for a lot of the jokes to land, so hopefully this has a decent dubbed version. And then Muted is a Spanish language show about a young man who kills both his parents and then does not speak for years or even decades afterwards. Upon his eventual release from prison, he is tracked and followed to try to see what he will do next. A young girl is kind of put in the mix. It looks incredibly interesting. It looks like it's very well shot. Definitely my kind of thing. If this was a movie, again, I'd be watching it right away. With it being a series, I'll have to give this a little time when I have time. Again, I got a lot of movies to watch to run this channel. Speaking of which, if you're new here and you like getting recommendations like these, definitely consider clicking that subscribe button. On May 23rd, they're adding an award-winning documentary titled Victim Suspect. This is about a group of girls who claim to have been sexually assaulted, and they are then charged with filing a fake report. This is a true story. Again, it's a documentary, and it won some awards at Sundance, I believe. So one that I'll be checking out, but it's a grim subject matter, so you gotta be in the right mood for one of these. On the 25th, is another one of their big projects this month. It's titled Fubar, and not only does it star Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it is his first major series. He may have done some cameos here and there in some shows, maybe, but this is his first time doing a series, and Netflix is pretty proud of it. Now, it does look like it's got some fun, over-the-top action in it, but it also looks a little neutered and weak for a Schwarzenegger project. I liked Killing Gunther, which he starred in a little bit. It was funny, it was fun, it was fresh, Hopefully, Fubar is in a similar vein. At least from the trailers, it looks like it might be. I just haven't been a big fan of a lot of the stuff Schwarzenegger has been doing. I'm praying this show is an exception. But if it is not, immediately on the 26th, it's one of the things I'm most interested in this month. It is a German movie titled Blood and Gold, but it's basically a World War II heist movie. Now, Netflix has had a couple of movies in that very narrow genre, and I've not liked any of them, but Blood and Gold looks exceptional. It looks like it's got some great characters, fantastic action, and a pretty compelling story, so this too will be one I'll be checking out. Now, obviously, this will be German language, but like I've said countless times, Netflix typically has pretty solid dubbed versions, so don't let foreign language scare you away from some of these gems. On the 26th, they also add Dirty Grandpa, which Robert De Niro and Zac Efron are both funny enough in this movie. I've found it to be pretty decent, but honestly, Aubrey Plaza steals the show in this thing. And then also a new Netflix original thriller from Spain, which I'm including because I have loved a lot of the thrillers coming from Spain lately, at least the Netflix originals I've watched. Tin and Tina is about a couple of adopted albino twin children who seem to be taking everything in the Bible incredibly seriously. So that should be a really creepy one. And then on the 30th, the thing I'm the most excited for the month, which rarely happens. The end of the month rarely has something I'm really looking forward to, but on May 30th, they're bringing back I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Now listen closely, this is not only a sketch show, but it is a sketch show that is not for everybody. At the same time, it's largely considered one of the best sketch shows to have been released in the last several decades by a lot of people in the comedy business, and I happen to agree. I personally love silly, weird comedy, and I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson is packed with it. If you want to get into this show, check out Season 1, Episode 1. If you're not into it after the first sketch or two, then the show is definitely not for you. You can just forget about it. But if you love that first sketch, odds are you're gonna love most of them. Again, I cannot wait for the new one, but that's it for what they're adding. Here is everything they're taking away from you this month. Now, if you're new to the channel, the date listed is the date it is gone, not the date it is leaving, which means you can no longer watch it on the date listed. So make sure you watch it before the date I'm showing you. I've put some of them in bold. These are just ones I've highly recommended on the channel recently if you want to catch those titles before they're gone. But that is the list. I will keep making these videos as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this special Netflix episode, and you will see me on the next one.